So I tried to kind of break down a little bit more about the British Isles. Um, and the reason why I did that, of course, is because we are in America and English speakers, and out of Western Europe, the legacy of the United States being created out of the British Empire made me feel a little more compelled to kind of focus on that at the expense of others, not because of the lack of significance of the other parts of Europe. Um, and so I'm just going to kind of end here, and then I'm going to leave showing a crash course on the Crusades. The Crusades deserve such a larger topic, but I feel that since this is a survey course and I had to pick and choose certain things I was going to talk about, that the short documentary will be sufficient for now, especially as we focused simply on you know the West and its creation. But as you look at the map here, look how close everyone relatively is to each other. I think this is why people in the United States of America are kind of known throughout the world as not knowing very much about the world. I mean, if you think about it, the United States, we share a border with Mexico and we share one with Canada. And we completely ignore Canada, people that live in the United States for the most part. And Mexico, they want cheap labor, or they want the wall shut. It's a very isolated view towards Mexico. And of course, I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about some of the tensions that are occurring over the issues of immigration here. And I'm not stepping into that controversial topic, merely addressing that's our only real regional debate that goes on in politics. Is the border we share with the South. While in Europe and the Mediterranean and the Middle East, and what comes out of the Roman legacy, do you not see how it makes sense that things have been a little bit more complicated in this parts of the world, and that people share borders with many nations, not always their friends and allies, and that henceforth war will be normal and not rare. You look here where Kiev is at, you notice that Russia is going to be kind of on the outs. It's going to be Europe, but not Europe. One foot over here in the east, in Asia, the other here linked to the west. And they're always going to be kind of placed in this complicated position. And then you're going to have countries like Hungary and Poland that are going to be in between bigger states in the future and are going to be used as buffer zones often in wars. And you can kind of see how that works. You look to see how does Spain go Islamic as opposed to other states here. Well, not just Charles Martel, but look at Africa and Spain are practically connected. Do you ever think of Africa and Europe being this close to each other? Look at Italy, Africa, close, Mediterranean Sea. Could be called the African Sea, right? Just as much as it could be called a European one. So you can see the connections there. Here I have a picture of Normandy, and again, that was the Norman conquerors that are going to take on the British Isles. And so, we look at this time period, and here we get the creation of Europe. In fact, right, it was an Anglo-Saxon monk who in the 8th century, I believe, used the word, an older word for this part of the world called Europe. So this is essentially where we are getting the real starting of the modern Western society, civilization. And it's very difficult as an instructor, to be honest, to try to break this down smoothly. And as you already saw in the book, how complicated it gets. And I think this is why I always struggled as a student, even with this time period and this place, even though it should be one of the most important aspects of my education, because it reflects more of the places that my family has came from, and what the American legacy is really an extension of. But it's complex, and it deserves a lot more study, and this is something that I encourage you to do on your own over time. And again, I think it's also going to enrich you to understand and think about the complexities in which these states emerge. And then when you look at the Middle East and other parts of the world and see how they're trying to get through their situations, and you see that we're all sharing this kind of struggle throughout the human human civilizations. And in certain times of history, one group seems to have been a little bit ahead maybe on resolving certain things that other areas have not, but then in the future that can all fall apart again, right? Are we guaranteed that there won't be another war in Europe between European powers? There's no guarantee for that. Look at Russia, still the odd man out. Russia also notices that they have a lot of hostile forces against them. So they're looked as hostile by Western Europe and the United States, and Russia feels isolated in the West, and that Europe and the United States are being hostile to them, the Western part of Europe, that is. So hopefully this will all kind of help draw you into understanding what's going on. And then the Crusades, just to lastly say, as I'm going to leave with this video presentation, this really shapes some of the aspects of the modern Middle East. And you know, in Israel right now, in Palestine, you have foundations there still left over. Many Palestinians are Roman Catholic and Greek Orthodox. How is that? Well, because they went all the way back to these times prior to Islam. And so, you know, these are all the kind of things to think about. I'm going to end here. I would have liked to have put it all together a little bit more smoothly, but I feel like you should at least have enough information to step off and further develop on this section.